This is the Sons of UCF podcast, your place for UCF sports talk year-round. Now, here is Adam and Mike.
Hey now, welcome back into the Sons of UCF. This is episode number 123. My name is Adam, and I appreciate you for taking some time to join me and my good buddy, one only Mr. UCF Mike, this week. Mike, welcome back again, my friend. How are things?
Things are very good. They could be a little better, and I'm not going to start my show here until I get a few more people to click on those ratings. I'm begging you every week now. We had some people do it last week. I've seen the numbers go up. Pause the tape right now. Everybody, you're in your car, you're at work, you're listening. Push pause, go to Apple, click on 5 stars, and come back, all right? I'll wait. I'll give you like 5 seconds. All right. That is pretty easy. It's an easy task, right?
Yeah.
So I should see that number jump up this week.
Okay. Well, that's exactly what we would love you to do is to subscribe to the show. If it's your first time listening, subscribe, rate, review, and we appreciate all that stuff. If you're not already following us on social media stuff, just search Sons of UCF wherever you go, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. You'll find us there. You can also find Mike on Twitter at UCFMike1. And make sure you give us a follow. The YouTube account, we'll start using that stuff more often. We have some of the Trace Trelko specials on the YouTube account, so check that out. And don't forget the Sons of UCF live show, which is on the internet, kids. We come to you each and every Thursday night. Maybe not this week. We got a basketball game. We'll talk about that later. But we come to you each and every Thursday night on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. And we're joined by Mr. Trace Trelko. We talk all things UCF and bring on some guests for some live interviews. Take your questions. It's a lot of fun. So make sure you join us on that as well, Mike. So we have a lot going on in the Sons of UCF empire, as we'd like to call it, although no one calls it that but me, so don't worry about all that stuff. But here's what we got for you this evening. We got Cow of the Week. It's a tradition around here. We'll do that again. We'll do some more charge on, charge off. It's a sweeping the nation, Mike. We have to do that. We have a really good interview with Brendon Hayes, who was with UCF from that 16 season through the 2019 season. We caught up with Brendon. He had some really great stories to tell and offered some really good insight. You won't want to miss. He shares a new Heupelism with us. Many of you have been wondering about what the strength and conditioning program has been like. He gives you a really good breakdown of that. And he didn't play in his last game at UCF, and now we know why. So stay tuned later on to hear from Brendon Hayes. But, Mike, let's start off with the headlines, the news, the notes, the things that are happening. Obviously, a lot of sports being played right now for UCF. Baseball, softball, volleyball, both tennis, both soccer, and obviously both basketball are still in session. So a ton going on, but everyone loves football. So let's talk football, Mike. Another week, and Malzahn has continued the press tour. He's continued. He did some interviews in and around town. We're still getting a chance to meet the coaching staff, Mike. Billboards are going up everywhere. So the Gus Malzahn era is in full effect. How excited are you so far for week 2 of the Gus Malzahn regime?
Still just as excited as I was the day he got hired. I'm loving everything he's done so far. Obviously, recruiting is off to a hot start. He came in and said he was going to recruit like his hair's on fire, and he's done exactly that. We've already gotten the early recruit now. This kid, what's his name? Maldonado, is it?
I believe that's correct, yeah. I'm looking it up now, actually.
From Lakeland, which is a school we haven't got a commit from, according to Brandon on Rivals. Since Jimmy Frizzell in 1999, you're telling me over 20 years we haven't got a kid from this high school. It's a very good school to recruit from. So Malzahn's come in right away. He's got the recruiting going. He's got the billboards going, which everybody says now it was his idea to go out and start planting these billboards all over Florida and Georgia. So I love everything he's done so far. His staff has come along nicely. Some of the guys in their press conferences, you can tell, have good personalities. So we get some good press conferences now with these guys, which makes it a lot more fun for us. Everything is going well now after a couple weeks in Malzahn.
Yeah, so the recruit you're referring to is a offensive lineman, Miguel Maldonado. He's currently a 3-star prospect, a 5.7 rating on the Rival site. He's number 50 among offensive tackles in the country. offers from Virginia Tech, West Virginia, Iowa State, and the Cows, among others. And this one's interesting because he committed to UCF. And just last week, Mike, we hired a brand new offensive line assistant coach. And his name is Caleb Pickrell, who formerly was the head football coach at Lakeland. So already that high school coach pipeline is paving the way. Obviously, there's a few other kids from that school. I actually like what Coach Pickrell did. He basically put out a little thing on Twitter and social media that's now calling UCF Polk Lando and trying to get some more of those kids. Mike, Malzahn said it. He said what everybody says, right? When you come over, you're going to recruit really well. You're going to keep kids home. You're going to put a fence around this and that. And he's come in and said it, and by golly, he's meant it, because he has absolutely done his part to keep recruiting top of mind. And unfortunately, he's already made some inroads. And I say unfortunately because we have so many kids now that we're offering that's tough to keep up with if you're a fan, because it's like every day there's a new commit. But obviously it certainly is a good thing to see Malzahn living up to his word.
And this is exactly the type of recruit we talked about a couple of weeks ago, keeping in the state of Florida and not letting him go to schools like West Virginia and Iowa State and these other schools that we've been losing these recruiting battles to. Now, with Malzahn here only a couple of weeks, here we are. We're keeping one kid in state. And this kid has so much potential. He's only been playing football for a year, and he's gotten all these offers from these big-time schools. You know the potential is there. Now it's up to Malzahn and his staff to develop this kid. He's only a 3-star, but probably the potential to have a 4th-star in there.
If I read correctly, Mike, he's only played 1 year of organized high school football. He's actually a basketball player as well. So there's still some ceiling potentially for him to gain additional ratings or stars. Obviously, UCF fans have often been pretty sensitive about that stuff because it seems like a kid commits to UCF and all of a sudden he loses a star. So we'll see if it can work in reverse, and maybe this kid comes to UCF and he gains a star. But it's the first high school recruit. Obviously, Malzahn has had a couple of transfers, Mike, and we talked about this on our live show, but we haven't talked about it on the pod form that we're in right now. Last week, kind of a surprise, while maybe it shouldn't be just based on the history. It wasn't really kind of signaled, or there wasn't a lot of rumors, but Big Cat Bryant, the mammoth defensive lineman who had left Auburn, potentially committed to Tennessee, and then sort of quietly decommitted, was rumored to maybe be going to Oklahoma, changed his mind or maybe surprised everybody, and is now coming to Orlando, Mike. So UCF gets a big SEC boy for the D-line area. Which is, you can never have too much size on the D-line.
And we know how much the defense struggled last year, and losing a lot of starters on the defensive side mid-season. And this guy is going to come in. He's going to replace guys like Randy Charlton and Kenny Tourney. This guy is an impact player from the SEC, ready to make an impact now for us. He's got 1 year left. This is like the Mike Hughes type of player we have coming in. Maybe only going to be here for a year, but going to leave a huge mark on this team. He's a leader. He was a captain of the Auburn team. He knows what Malzahn likes to run, and he's familiar with his system, so that's going to help in him teaching the other guys on this roster what exactly to expect out of Malzahn. So I think it's a great pickup for us.
Yeah, the defense is going to be really interesting because there's a lot of young guys. There's a lot of guys who we didn't get to see a lot. There's a lot of kind of new and sort of moving parts on the defense. So it'll be really fascinating to see how all that comes together. And the good news is we'll find out pretty quickly. So basically a week from our recording date, Mike, I believe it's the 15th of March, is the start of spring practice. So Malzahn wasting no time getting the guys out in the field. And we'll sort of see where they are. I don't know how much access we'll get yet to anything. I don't know if that's been shared or decided. Obviously, all this leads up to the spring game, where we'll probably see a little bit more of a watered-down version of what Malzahn has to offer, Mike. But it'll be good to get the kids back out on the field, and I'm curious to see what the differences are going to be between sort of the Malzahn stuff and what we saw from Heupel and even Frost. Mike, I will say one thing: the kids, at least on Twitter, the players seem to be raving about our new strength coach, Coach Dawson. He's getting like a tweet or two a day about how kids are saying he's awesome. So hopefully that bodes well for the condition and the sort of the way our team prepares for the upcoming 2021 season.
Well, he was highly touted coming over from Kansas State. I don't want to spoil anything about our interview coming up, but Brendon Hayes gets into the differences of the weight program under Frost and then into Heupel, and now we're seeing it into Malzahn. So I think maybe we're going to take a step up in that area, and guys are going to come back ready to go this season. They're going to be jacked up. They're going to be a lot stronger, and I think we're going to see some big-time results.
Guys are jacked up, Mike. I love when guys are jacked up. That's always good news. But other than that, it's actually been kind of quiet. We're continuing to have a chance to hear some of the assistant coaches share some of their insight on how they get to UCF. I think we have a few more that'll come this week. You should hear some of those interviews for us on the live show. We'll put all those together for you and get some clips together, Mike. So far, though, I mean, the interviews that you've heard, I know we heard a bunch last week, a few so far this week. Your initial thoughts on the assistant coaches? Anybody kind of stand out to you? Anything that you heard that you really love hearing?
I think Herb Hand is an interesting character.
Yeah.
Of just the clips I've seen, obviously, T. Will's got a lot of enthusiasm, but Hand sticks out like a sore thumb to me. He's somebody that I'm going to enjoy watching the press conferences of. Then you got some young guys that are not as familiar with doing press conferences like G.J. Kinney. He'll get into it, and the more they do, the more they'll loosen up. But overall, a good staff, I think. I think we can get a little more out of this staff than we got out of the former.
Yeah, I'm really just intrigued by all the high school ties and all sort of the young recruiting ties. We heard from Brian Blackman, who spent a ton of time as a high school coach. And we heard from Addison Williams, who's the cornerback coach, and his connection with Gus Malzahn. And you're starting to see some of it pay off already with some of the recruiting stuff. So I think that's going to be interesting to see how that all kind of comes together. Recruiting, one thing, you need the players in the field. Some of these guys are a little bit light on coaching experience. We'll see how that shakes out. Obviously, so far, Mike, the recruiting piece is certainly seeing a lot of positive momentum. And we'll see how it all shakes out, though, on the field. And we'll get our first crack at it, again, coming up a week from this recording date on Monday. Spring practice starts. So stay tuned. We'll see what we're able to learn and see. If there's 15 minutes of video that we can break apart to understand how the team is playing, I'm sure we will do that endlessly. But let's turn our attention now, Mike, to a team that is currently playing and is about to begin, I guess, is this the postseason for them technically? I don't really know, but the Hoops teams are beginning their American Conference tournament play. Obviously, the women's team, the number 2 seed, and they essentially lost their potential to win the outright regular season championship, but they still have a chance to win the tournament champion. So we'll see how that shakes out, Mike. And then the men's team, with a win at ECU, have now positioned themselves to head into the tournament, which tips off on Thursday night, 7 p.m. ESPNU, a rematch of the game they just played. The 6th-seeded Knights will take on number 11 ECU, who, again, we just beat a week ago, 64-60, Mike. So heading into the tournament, what kind of shot, what do you think, what chances do you give the men's team of making any sort of noise in the AAC tournament?
Well, we got a good draw in the first game. East Carolina is a team we just saw and we played well against. We can beat them. I think we all expect to win that game. And we played that game without 2 of our top guys in Mahan and CJ Walker. If those guys are back for the game this week, I think we should handle them again. It's a tough draw the second game. So if we win this one, we play Memphis. And we know the difficulties we've had against Memphis.
Mm-hmm.
They probably gave us our worst loss of the season earlier this year. That or the Michigan game. It was just a disaster. And then we ended up playing them a couple nights later. Played a lot better the second time around. But still, that's a tough matchup for us. I would have preferred Wichita, actually, because even though they're the 1 seed, we played 2 very close games against them. But I don't know. I give us a shot to win the first one. The second game is going to be tough. If we can somehow pull that off, then you're talking about playing Houston. So it's a very tough road if you're talking about winning this tournament. I don't think any of us really expects us to win the tournament. But anything more than a win is gravy for us, I think.
Yeah, I mean, a week ago against 64-60 against ECU, again, we played pretty well. We were leading for most of the game, but you mentioned it. There are some guys who didn't play. We only rotated 7 guys for that game. Isaiah Adams had 15 and was named AAC Freshman of the Week again. Darius Perry and Darren Green both chipped in with 14. And Mike, your favorite player, I don't know if he actually is, but I'm going to say he is, Avery Diggs, with a 10-point game. He had 5 boards as well. He stepped up. He played really well. 4 for 4 from the floor. Hit 2 free throws. He stepped in and played a really big game. He was a part of a run there where he either scored or assisted on, I think it was 14 or something like that, straight points. So he stepped in and played some big minutes. And if we can get C.J. Walker back, Brendan Mahan did not play. It was described as personal reasons, so don't know what that means. Hopefully it's nothing too terribly serious. But if we get him back and him rolling again, we've seen this team at its best, Mike. They have the ability to stick and play with anybody. ECU's got a good player in Jaden Gardner. He had 18 against us, and then Tristan Newton had another 18. So those are 2 guys who played well. I mean, they got hot from 3 in the second half. They came out and fired away at a bunch of threes. So we'll see what that essentially means for UCF if we can keep ourselves in the game, play good offense, and we get a special performance by 1 or 2 guys. You never know what happens in the first one, and then we look ahead to Memphis, Mike. That'll be a weird one. It'll be a 10 p.m. Friday game if UCF advances. So 10 p.m. East Coast, ESPNU for UCF's potential matchup if they win against Memphis. So a late night Friday. You might want to get a nap in early on Friday if things go well on Thursday, kids.
We have never fared well in these conference tournaments. Going back to the Conference USA days, you'd have to go all the way back to the Atlantic Sun days when we actually won a couple of these. But even when we were highly ranked, I remember one time we were, I think, a 2 seed in Conference USA, and Rice beat us on a last-minute shot. In the American, we've never done well. What's the furthest we've gone in the American? I think maybe winning 2 games, I want to say. We beat Memphis up pretty badly once in the conference tournament. Other than that, I don't have too many good memories of our basketball team in conference tournament play.
Yeah, we're not a traditional powerhouse, I think, in that respect. That's probably fair to say. So yeah,
even the Taco team, right? A couple of years ago, were we out in the first round or second round? I think
it was second round. I think we won the first round game. Yeah,
that might have been the game we're talking about where we beat up Memphis, and then we just got, I think maybe SMU got us or somebody. So never a good time for us, but hope maybe this is the year when you don't expect it. Maybe the guys go on a little run. We beat East Carolina, we slip past Memphis, and maybe we give Houston a tough game. I'd love it if we could win 2 games.
Well, it's a house money game, right? I mean, we're playing with house money, so it's a house money game if we can figure out how to kind of put it all together, right? I mean, to your point, low expectations. No one's expecting us to kind of come out here and do anything of great note. So if we can just put it together, and like I said, we've seen this team play well, and we've seen when they play well, they can play with anybody. Obviously, we had a Florida State victory earlier in the year that got a lot of attention. We saw what we did to the Cows later on through the year. So if we're playing our best, I mean, there are very few teams, that can kind of stick with us. So it'll be interesting to see what we can do, because ultimately, I think we could definitely muck this up for a few teams if we really, play to our best, right? We could make this difficult for Memphis, for Houston, take them to the wire, make a good showing out of it, and perhaps, hopefully, this would be sort of the the jumping start that we might need into the next season. So we'll see how that kind of shakes out for us.
Yeah, it'd be great to play spoiler for some of these other teams. We don't like Memphis. We don't like Houston. These are schools that we have history with. So it'd be great to ruin their season if we can. And you never know. Maybe somebody else can upset Houston and give us an easier path if we get past Memphis. And maybe anything's possible. That's the great thing about college basketball that we don't see in football. We actually have a shot right now, starting now. If we win the rest of our games this year, we are national champions, and nobody can take that away from us. We have to take 4 wins to win this tournament, and then another 6 after that. We go 10-0 in this next 10. Put the banners up, baby.
Banners are going up. I'll take it. And then women's team, just really quickly. So they will play Tuesday night. They will be taking on, I believe, Cincinnati at 6 p.m. In sort of round 2. So round 1 for the women's tournament starts today. So they will face Cincinnati in their first matchup, and if that holds true, then they'll play again Wednesday, and then the championship game would be, I believe it's Thursday night, 9 p.m. So you could potentially, Mike, if I have this right, if my dates are correct here, I hope that they are, because if not, I'm going to look really foolish. You could potentially have men's team playing Thursday 7, and then if UCF is able to advance all the way through, maybe they're playing at 9 p.m. on Thursday right after, which I think would be for the championship. So that would be a nice little back-to-back doubleheader for UCF on Thursday.
The women have had a great season. Really should be tied for the conference lead with the Cows. They gave the Cows the conference regular season championship on a technicality. They got a forfeited win in there. But like I said on the live show the other night, the ball don't lie. We're going to get a shot at the Cows again. We just beat them last week. We'll beat them again. We'll punch our own ticket to the dance. I think the women are playing very well right now, and they got a lot of confidence coming into this tournament. So them, I have a lot higher expectations for than the men.
Speaking of higher expectations, Mike, softball defeated number 2 Arizona on Monday in a big game over a nice ranked opponent too. So a nice big win for our softball team. Our baseball team, however, Mike, wheels are firmly starting to come off. Swept by the Flames. We were dusted by the Flames on a weird weekend with different scheduling stuff. So after taking 2 of 3 from the number 1 ranked Ole Miss Rebels, then they have now lost, I guess what it is now, 4 in a row, Mike, a midweek to Stetson, followed by a sweep at the hands of the Liberty Flames. Baseball seems to be heading into Flames, Mike, early in the year so far.
Yeah, I'm going to stop with my 98 Yankees comparison.
Okay,
now.
we're done with that finally? Okay, all right.
that has come to an end, unfortunately, this week. Baseball not looking good, man. Just can't put everything together at once. You get a good pitching performance like we did on Friday against the Flames, and you lose a 1-0 game or a 2-1 game. Then your bats go silent. You get shut out against Stetson on a 7-0 game. Just when one thing is not working or one thing is working, then the other thing isn't. It's just bad baseball altogether. I don't know how to explain it. You beat the number 1 team in the country twice. I really should have swept them. And then you come back and you get swept at home against the Liberty Waka Flocka Flames. I don't get it. And the good thing is there's still a whole conference season to go. So maybe we get all this out of the way. And baseball is another sport where you can catch fire, and if we can still win the conference, the whole season's still there ahead of you. So you win the conference or you get into the conference tournament, you win that, you get into postseason play, you get in the tournament, and if you're hot then there's still hope. But looking at it right now, it's not looking good. And with a lot of hype coming into this season on this baseball team, the way we played last year in a shortened season, I think expectations were very high for this team, and now it's disappointing, to say the least, to start the season.
3-8 overall. They have a sort of a midweek to weekend tilt with the UNF Ospreys up here in the Jacksonville area on Wednesday, Orlando on Friday, back to Jacksonville on Saturday, back to Orlando on Sunday. So 4 days, 2 cities for the Knights and the Ospreys. So we'll see if they can kind of turn things around here, Mike, heading into this weekend, which I mean, it's just they haven't been able to put some things together, and it's just it's been an unfortunate thing. But obviously a lot of UCF sports, a lot of things going on right now to keep yourself entertained with. So make sure you're staying in touch with us here at the Sons of UCF. We'll keep you as up to date as we can as we march into basketball sort of postseason play, and as baseball and softball are kind of getting into the thick of their seasons. We will do all that we can here and on the live show to make sure that you are updated and informed. But let's take a quick pause here, Mike, and we'll then roll into again the game sweeping the nation. It's charge on, it's charge off. Don't go anywhere. It's right after this. Mike, it's back. Are you excited? I hope you were excited. I hope maybe this is why we got some of those reviews that you were talking about last week, because everybody was just mind blown that nobody had thought of charge on, charge off before. And the wonderful audience out there, you great people, decided to reward us for our creativity.
Backed by popular demand. We don't often play the same game 2 weeks in a row. So you're bringing this back again right away. Just shows how much the people love charge on, charge off last week.
Well, maybe it's our thing, right? We've been playing around with a bunch of different games, which, by the way, although we don't play games back-to-back shows, it's the same game every time. So, maybe this is kind of, this will be our thing. We'll steal charge on, charge off. We tried buy-sell for a while. That worked out really well. We actually had some guests. Maybe we'll bring guests back at some point for charge on, charge off debates, because it's sweeping the nation, Mike. And I've got a handful for you here. Kind of a mixed bag. A lot of things going on right now at UCF Sports, so sort of a mixed bag. So let's start here. This one may be, I'll start easy for you. We have the spring game coming up. I saw UCF is now they're now allowing you to buy cutouts, so you can buy a cardboard cutout of your face, and it'll be plastered someplace depending upon how many cutouts that you want to buy and how many cutouts that you need, Mike. So charge on, charge off. A cardboard cutout of you at a stadium or a sporting event is a good idea. You would want a cardboard cutout. Charge on or charge off?
I'll charge on with the cutout. I think it's a decent idea. It's a way to raise money for a program. So if they can't sell a lot of tickets to something, and we saw it in professional sports, the baseball teams were doing it. They couldn't have fans at all over this last year with COVID. I can see the benefits of it. So I'll say charge on. I actually haven't even read up on this. They just announced this today.
That is correct.
Recently,
yeah. You want me to hold on? I mean, we'll produce the show live on the air. There's different tiers. Like, so if you want to pay a certain amount of money, you can get your cutout in a certain spot. A lot of it's coming with in conjunction with spring football. It's called the Spring Ball Fans Cutouts, and so you have options. If you purchase, you can have a cutout on the UCF Donald Disney Football Practice Complex. I feel like I don't know when we called it the Donald Disney Football Practice Complex. I guess that's new. So you can maybe have your cutout there. You can have it at John Uliano Park. You can have it at the UCF Softball Complex. You can have it at the Track and Soccer Complex. Or you can have it at the venue. And again, if you want to pay, the packages start at $50 and they go up to $175, depending upon how much you pay. That depends how many cutouts you get. And I guess you have a chance to decide where they go. There are also some chances to win a cutout that is signed by Gus Malzahn. So you have some opportunities to potentially have your cutout signed by Gus. So again, you have a bunch of different options to purchase. Looks like they're limited amounts though. So baseball is only going to have 100, softball 50, track and field 50, volleyball 50. And the Kenneth G. Dixon Athletics Village and the UCF Donald Disney Football Practice Complex. Those looks like they're kind of unlimited.
So are they having them at the spring game? They're having them at practice facilities? Is this what you're telling me?
That's what I'm telling you. Yep. That's what I'm telling you. Nothing here about spring game as far from what I can see so far.
So if I bought my face at the football practice facility, when am I going to be able to see it? And just one of the Brandon's clips of them practicing, maybe I'll see myself on the sideline somewhere?
That would be the hope.
That I'm not sure about. Like, what? Maybe I have to charge off on this one.
Okay, now we're charged off. Okay. Okay.
I understand it at a baseball game. The game's on TV, and a foul ball goes my way, and boom, I'm looking for my face. I got that. But at a football practice that nobody's allowed to go to, first of all, how do I even know it's there? I just got to take their word for it?
It's a great – apparently it must be honor system. I don't see any I don't see anything where it says how you're going to be notified.
Game, I understand the spring game, and at least it'll make it look like there's a bigger crowd than there actually is. But I don't think that's being televised either. I mean, maybe there'll be a feed for it. They haven't announced that yet. I'm cooling off now on my charge on. It may be a charge off, but just for those reasons, if I'm paying $100 or $175 to get a cardboard cutout of myself, I want to be able to see myself on TV, or at least have the chance of seeing myself on TV.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know how you would. Maybe they're going to put a video together of the football complex. It doesn't really say. The other thing it doesn't say is, do you get to keep it? So like if you put down 100 bones for a UCF Mike cutout, and you put it on the practice field and it's there, and then obviously it ends. Do they send it to you, or what happens to it? Because I think I'd want my cutout. No.
Yeah, I know certain teams did do that. They did send you. I know the Tampa Bay Rays, for a fact, they sent you the cutout at the end of the year. And I think some players actually signed some of those when they sent them back. And I think they're doing that. I think Malzahn may sign a few, like you said, and give them to you at the end of the year. So they should be able to. If you're spending $100, they can put it in an envelope for $3 and send it to you if they want.
Also trying to figure out who Donald Disney is. Disney's actually spelled Dizney. He was the owner of the Tampa Bay Bandits of the USFL Football League. Looks like he may own some horse racing farms, maybe a thoroughbred or a breeder. He has some sort of a stadium for him named after him at University of Florida. I guess this is lacrosse, maybe. So I didn't know when Donald Disney became a name for us, but apparently he now has the official name for the football practice complex. So congratulations.
We've been waiting a long time now to partner with Disney. Being in Orlando,
wrong Disney.
So close.
Yeah,
wrong Disney. They spelled it wrong, but
hold on. If the check clears, I mean, what are you going
to do? Not everybody will catch on to it. You say the name. Like when you said it the first time, I didn't know it wasn't part of Disney. I hear Donald. I think Donald Duck. You say Disney, and I automatically thought Disney World, and now you clarified it. So somebody that's just passing by hears the name Donald Disney Football Complex, and they think, hey, UCF is associated with Disney World. Who knows? But like you said, as long as the money is coming in, who really cares what the name is?
It's just like McDowell's. We have the golden. It's not McDonald's, it's McDowell's. So we're just pulling one of those. I'm fine with it. Here's my next charge off for you then. So in the same theme, Mike, UCF will have a new stadium sponsor for the football stadium, in 2021. Charge on or charge off, we will have a stadium naming sponsor.
Charge on. It's something Mohajer has to come in and get done. He's talked about raising money now and selling the names of a locker, anything to get money. You got to get somebody to come in and put their name on the stadium. We had the 1 year with it just being called the Bounce House. We had no sponsor last year. It was a COVID year. I know it was a weird season. But now that games are going to be on TV every week, we're going to have the place jumping again, hopefully with 100% capacity. We need to have a name back on the stadium. That's all on Mohajer now to get that done. Now, I already gave you guys the idea last week with the Waffle Bounce House. Let's get that done. Go to those people first. We already have a tie with Malzahn going to the Waffle House after every win. So if they want to start there, you're welcome. If not, go ahead and find something else. But we got to get a name on the stadium and make as much money as we can.
You think Malzahn helps? You think having him here helps potentially Mohajer sell the stadium name?
Yeah, it can't hurt. The hype around the UCF football program in the last few weeks has gone way up, especially nationally. You're seeing Malzahn doing interviews all over the country. He's on with Feinbaum. He's on, where else did I see him recently? Marty Smith, and he's doing national shows. UCF the name is out there. As O'Leary used to always say, that we are on the lips of a lot of people. And here we are. This is a prime time to strike now if you're Mohajer. Now that the iron's hot, everybody is talking about us. Go out there and get us a nice deal for the stadium.
All right. Next one for you. We talked about this a little while ago. We have Big Cat Bryant, who committed to UCF. Mike, so charge on, charge off. Big Cat is the best nickname for any former UCF player. Charge on or charge off?
Charge off. That's not the best nickname.
Who you got
Big
then?
Cat.
Who are you going with?
I always like 24K.
Okay.
24K worked on a lot of levels. Obviously, he was number 24. We wore gold, 24 carats. It just made a lot of sense. He played up to the nickname. Off the top of my head, that's the first one that jumps out at me. What other nicknames am I missing?
Well, that was interesting. That's why this is a tricky question, in my opinion, because there's like Blake Bortles as the boat, right? But people typically refer to him as Blake Bortles or Blake or whatever. People actually call Big Cat, right? That's like his literal name. So I was going for, is there anybody else who's like, we didn't use their real name sort of in everyday referring to them or talking about them, right? Like you typically call him Kevin Smith or Blake Bortles, right? But Big Cat is Big Cat. So is that the best like real name that's actually a nickname for UCF?
Was Storm Johnson's real name?
Yep.
Storm?
It's not. No, that was the other one I have written down here. That was my other option, was Storm Johnson. And it's a tricky question because we don't know what Big Cat's going to do, right? He may get 1 tackle, 2 sacks, and call it a season. And in that case, it's not the best nickname. But Storm Johnson is another really good answer. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess we're gonna have to wait to see what Big Cat does on the field, because if he does what you said just now, has a poor season. There was a character on The Sopranos. We may change his name to that. If you know what I'm talking about.
Hey now.
I am not anticipating that. So from now, I will call him Big Cat. His mama calls him Big Cat. I'm going to call him Big Cat too. Off the top of my head, I got to go 24K, Storm. There's got to be other ones that we're completely whiffing on that we're just not thinking of that was pretty good nicknames. But you're right. We don't have a long history of big-time nicknames, guys.
No. KZ was the other one. Like, obviously, KZ, his name isn't KZ. That's his nickname. I mean, that's an option, too. I think most people now refer to him as KZ. So he's kind of in that same stratosphere, I think, a lot of times where, people don't always call him Mackenzie Milton. I think we just shorten that to KZ. So maybe that's the other option.
Yeah, the initials, they're not great nicknames. They're not that creative, like AK. We could have done some more with those. Speedy, Rennell Hall as Speedy was a good one. I'm gonna have to come back. I have to think about this a little. I'm sure there's something we're missing.
I feel remiss if I pointed out that KZ, that's not actually his initials, right?
Okay.
Well, yeah. All right, just making sure you said it was initials. I want to make sure we were all good at our spelling there. All right, so I talked about Big Cat, Mike. Here's the next question, and this is maybe this is hot takey. I don't know. Here it is. There are too many Auburn people now involved with UCF football. Charge on or charge off? Too much Auburn right now.
Oh, yeah. I guess charge on.
Oh,
only because I know they were supporting Malzahn, but like the Auburn fans, I don't need them. I don't want them to be bandwagon UCF fans. Well, I guess we'll take anybody's dollar. If you want to root for UCF, you want to come to a game, and you want to spend money here and this and that, I guess we'll take it. But it's just like I didn't like the Nebraska fans coming over and rooting for us and the Peach Bowl and all that stuff. I don't need the Auburn fans, but you're talking about people that are actually working for us on staff.
Yeah, what about that? What about that angle? Are you concerned that obviously Gus has brought over pretty much a lot of his familiarities with with coaches and staffers, and there's a heavy sort of Auburn tie? Are you the least bit concerned that that will maybe sort of have a negative impact on kind of the DNA of UCF and some of the current players who have been here who are now kind of like, hey, we're just becoming like Auburn South, right? Do you think there's any sort of negativity that you're concerned about with the heavy influx of Auburnness onto the program?
Nah, I don't think so. At least they've all been at Auburn already, so it's not like they're trying to get back there. At least we know Malzahn's not going back there. So it's not like Frost with Nebraska where that's where he wants to be. This guy's already been there, so at least they're guys he's familiar with. He knows what to expect out of them. And the thing is, he had a short time to form this staff. So like I said before, I think it was on the live show, this staff may look completely different if it was done at the regular time. But so since it was done so late in the season, he kind of had to put his staff together this way. And he went with guys he's familiar with, and I don't blame him for that. And the guys seem to be doing a great job right now with the recruiting and all that. So I'll be okay with it. But if it was like if Auburn was the place that he wanted to go to, like Nebraska was with Frost, then I'd be a little concerned. Since he's already been there, I'm not worried about it.
All right, here's the last one I have for you. So we got Coach Lovelady, we have Coach Dawkins, and we have Coach Abe. One of these coaches will not be back at UCF next season. Charge on or charge off?
Charge on.
Ooh.
It's not looking good right now.
You're going to have to tell me who. That's how this works. You're going to have to tell us who you think that is.
Well, I think Dawkins is going to get a year here with Mohajer.
Okay.
And then if he doesn't start getting this team moving in the right direction next season, he's going to be on the hot seat. Because now it's already been a couple years removed from that tournament team. You got Mohajer coming in. He may want to start fresh with his own guys. But Dawkins has the experience. He's probably the most experienced of all our coaches here, going back to his days at Stanford. And so I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt for now. Abe has done a fantastic job, and she may not be here only because somebody may throw a boatload of money at her.
Hint, hint, Tennessee.
Because so that's the only reason I'm thinking she may be gone. Not because we want her gone.
Yep.
But somebody may come over with some money that we can't compete with. And Lovelady, I mean, we talked about the baseball team already. It's been a disappointing start, 3-8 start. If he can't get this thing headed back in the right direction and figure it out while we get into conference play and get us into the tournament, playing well later in the season, he may be in trouble. So for those reasons, 2 out of 3, I think, have a chance to be out of here this year. I will say charge on.
Yeah, that's the tricky part is I think Coach Abe, obviously especially if UCF is able to win the American Conference tournament and get into the NCAA tournament, let's say we steal a game or two there, I think there will be schools out there that are looking for coaches. And don't cross off Tennessee. Obviously, they're a storied women's basketball program. Things have kind of slipped a little bit since Pat Summitt left and has subsequently passed away. So we'll see where that goes, but we know there's a familiar face that's wearing that ugly orange color. And then you mentioned Lovelady. Obviously, is there a hot seat brewing? I mean, in 3-8 right now, but the season can turn around in a heartbeat. And then Dawkins, I actually think I kind of agree with you. I think Dawkins is maybe the safest of these three, just because I think he's got a young team. So much happened with the team this year. I think they still had some really good moments of success. We saw Mohajer at the arena. I think it was the game against the Cows, pumping his fist, and actually maybe it was Tulane, pumping his fist and being excited. Again, a lot of young talent. If those guys come back, Tony Johnson coming in, we're bringing in a top 100 recruit next year. I think Dawkins maybe gets a year. So I think you're right. It's probably between Abe and Lovelady. Lovelady probably leaving not of his own accord, and Abe leaving potentially because of a job offer. So playing those odds, Mike, I guess I would say I do agree. I think a charge on one of those two might not be back next season.
Yeah, and I mean, if it's Lovelady because we had a bad season, then I don't think too many people are going to be upset about it. If it's Abe because she was stolen from us by Danny White, I think people are going to be very upset about it. So who knows what direction those programs are heading in. As long as we keep winning, then hopefully we can replenish the coaches with other good coaches.
All right, I have a bonus. Bonus charge on, charge off for you. You ready for this one?
Yeah.
UCF should introduce new football uniforms for the upcoming season. So new home and away, sort of a whole new set of uniforms, not just a one-time throwback. New uniforms for next season. Charge on or charge off?
Charge on. I mean, we have branded ourselves now as this innovative school that changes things up. The uniforms we've been using now, we've pretty much been standard for since 2016 when Frost got here.
That's correct, yep.
And I thought when he got here, he said those were going to be used for like 2 years and they were going to come back with all kinds of new ones. And of course, he was only here 2 years, so maybe he would have changed it by now. But we've been seeing the same ones, and everybody likes them. The Pegasus on the sleeves, and even the Nighthead on the sleeves is a different taste to it. But I think it's time we may come up with a little something different. And I don't want to add any more colors.
Yeah.
You know me with the colors. We already have the pewter and the anthracite and the black and the gold and the white and the Canaveral blue, and we've got plenty of colors. And if you want to come up with a little different design, I can be with that. I think that could work.
Yeah, obviously I have no inside info, but I was doing the same math you were doing. It's been, this will be the 5th straight season now with the same sort of uniform set. I'm sure there have been subtle tweaks, obviously, that maybe you and I just aren't aware of, but same sort of layout, same number pattern scheme. So, we'll see if this is the year. I don't know how much that kind of stuff costs. Is it cost prohibitive right now? I think a lot of people noted last year, I don't think we wore as many uniform combos, particularly the helmets, Mike. I don't remember I think we wore gold a bunch. And that was we wore black a handful of times. I don't think we broke out some of the different elements last year. I don't know if that was a COVID related item or a financial related item. So curious to see, again, to your point, new season, new era of football, sort of a complete rebrand. I think it's interesting after Frost left and Heupel came in, and you're going to hear Brendon Hayes kind of talk about it a little bit coming up here in just a few minutes. It seemed like it was sort of like everything just kind of keep moving forward. It wasn't a huge change. It was just kind of like, okay, now we're doing the same thing, but this guy's here instead of this guy. Let's just roll forward. It seems like with Malzahn, there's definitely a concerted effort to usher in a new era, usher in sort of a changing of the guard, something new, something different. So this isn't kind of continuing status quo. It sounds like Malzahn is looking to sort of revamp and sort of rebuild. You wonder if they'll want to roll in a new uniform set, with that rebuild. That's why I think it's maybe a little different than the Frost to Heupel stuff. And to be fair, I don't think Heupel really gave a rat's ass about uniforms and what they looked like and all that stuff. He didn't seem like he was that kind of guy, and he cared as much about that as Frost potentially did about looking good and playing good. I don't know if Malzahn really cares either, but if you're gonna kind of start new, throw on some new threads. Why not?
Yeah, Malzahn's coming from Auburn, where they wore the same uniforms all the time, and maybe we'll see a throwback helmet to the helmet we wore from 2007 all the way to 2015. It was the same exact white helmet. We haven't seen that one at all since then. Maybe you'll throw that one back in there. Maybe people love playing around with the helmets, and you got the old school ones, the gold ones, the ones with the state of Florida on the side. We've kind of mixed in, so many possibilities to go with on the uniform front, and it's another way to make money. And if they would sell these jerseys, which they do, you can sell a whole bunch of different style jerseys. So I don't see why they wouldn't come out with something a little new. And when they came out with this style, they had how many different possible combinations? Remember, there was a website dedicated to it. There was like 300 different combinations. There's no way we've used every combination so far. Well, we've come pretty close to it because we've had a whole bunch of different ones over these years. But if you want to add something different, I can definitely do something different this year.
Yeah, I'll charge on with that one. And last one, bonus one. We should bring charge on, charge off back for next week. 3 weeks in a row. Charge on or charge off?
Well, you usually come up with the ideas for the games, and if you're telling me we're doing charge on, charge off again next week, then
I'm giving you a vote. I'm giving you a vote right now. Should charge on, charge off become a 3 week in a row edition?
So if I say no, we're not doing it, and if I say yes, we are doing it, does my vote actually count?
Sure, it counts. I mean, make
this
it
is
overruled.
like talking to my wife.
It's not. You make it overruled. I mean, I can't. We're right now we're a population of 2, so if you vote one way, I vote the other. We got to go tiebreaker. I don't know what that is yet. Maybe it's Trace. Maybe it's asking my kid. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Is this like when my wife asks me where we're going to go to eat, and she really just wants me to say the answer that she wants? So no matter what place I say, you're like, well, and then it somehow ends up the way she wanted to, whatever she wanted to do. Is that what this is?
I see what
so
you're doing.
If I say yes, and you don't want to do it,
then
we're not going to do it.
I see what you're doing here.
No.
You're kind of painting me in a little bit of a corner. Unknown. I mean, unknown. I guess. Yeah. I need a vote, and then we'll see what happens.
I'll say yes. Bring it back again next week. I got one for you.
Okay. Well, I didn't. Yeah. Bonus. All right, here we go.
Walking during the 5K race tonight virtual race. Charge on or charge off?
Walking the whole race? Walking a segment of the race?
No, walking the entire 5K.
Man, I'm gonna need a doctor's note, and I'm good. Like I'm gonna need like meniscus tear. Maybe you're a lady out there. Maybe you're with child and you can't run. Maybe you're just getting over a cold or something. You got, maybe some bronchitis. I'm going to need a doctor's note for the walking. Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with it because it's cool for people to participate, and obviously hopefully you all got your emails that you're in, you got your emails that you're getting your gift box or whatever the heck they call it, I think you have your shirt and your medal. So if you're participating, that's a good thing. But I'm gonna need a doctor's note if we're gonna do any sort of full 3 mile walking situation.
Yeah, you gotta at least try to run a little bit. And it's called race tonight. It's called walk tonight. It's not a walkathon.
Yeah.
So at least try.
Yeah.
And then, if you can't make it, you can't go the full distance. Nothing wrong with that. Then you can walk a little bit. But at least I think you got to put some effort in.
Yeah.
And let's just say, hey, the turnout has been very good. Our group, I think now is up to 29 people. We had somebody else transfer over to our group today. I got an email saying. So very good turnout for the Sons of UCF group.
Did we get a 4-star transfer? Or are we in the portal? Like what's happening here? Was it Denver?
Well,
did we steal someone from Denver?
We have more people in our group than the Denver group. So
you fact checked this already? You have this for a fact?
Yes.
Okay.
I have this for a fact.
Has the port lady at the Palm Beach Alumni Association, has she just blocked your email address, or is she still actually returning all your emails?
She actually is the one who messaged me earlier today first.
Okay.
To tell me that she said, hey, we had one more request to transfer to your team today.
Okay.
Our friend Chris Marazzo.
Okay.
And isn't he the guy that wins our trivias every time we do?
He is. Chris Marazzo. Yeah, he seems to be a trivia savant for sure.
Yeah, well, he's added on to the Sons of UCF
Welcome,
list.
Chris. Welcome to the team.
28. We're up to 29 now, I think, in our group. I don't know how many different groups there are. I think there was, 10, 20 different groups. We are, I think, the third most. Well, there's one group that doesn't count. There's one group that's called the UCF Alumni General Group, and she seems to think that they put anybody that didn't have a group into that group.
Okay.
So there's 267 people in that group. We're not counting those guys.
Okay, they're disqualified.
Uh-huh. So then the next highest group after that is Palm Beach, who has 40 people in their group.
Hosting the event, fair, yeah.
Yeah, they're the hosts. They're the girls that put it together. That's their group.
Yep.
You got Seminole County that has 30 participants, 30 runners.
So you're telling me
have us.
We're one behind Seminole County?
That's right.
Interesting.
That's right. We brought a lot of people into this thing.
Are transfers still an option? Is the transfer portal still open? Can people still get in? Do we know? As
far as I know, yes. I mean, Chris Milazzo just did it this morning. So if you're one of these guys that didn't sign, when you signed up, you didn't pick a group, and they stuck you now in this UCF Alumni General group, there's 267 people there. If they want to transfer over and try to get into the Suns group, you got a shot at the hat, and you'll be part of the winning team. And maybe we can bump up past Palm Beach and have the most people in our group. We just got to add a few more.
Well, I'm looking at this list. You sent me a list of the people who are on our team right now. I'm not going to call anybody out, but I see a couple of glaring omissions on this list. And I'm not going to call anybody out like Paul Jones or anything like that. But there seems to be a couple of glaring omissions of people that we know are potentially going into the race. But still a great turnout. I see a lot of names that I recognize on here, and even some names I don't, which is even cooler. And so it's a good cause. It's a good event. You get a free shirt, you get a cool medal, maybe you get a hat if we ever figure that stuff out. So yeah, I guess Mike's got an in. If you're in the transfer portal and you're looking for a new home to run your race, notice I said run. Maybe we're the team for you.
Yeah, Paul Jones. We see where his allegiances lie now. Yeah, I'm sure he's in the Palm Beach group, but he probably signed up with them before we even started our own group.
Yeah.
I'll give him a pass.
Mm-hmm.
But I know exactly who you're talking about that said they were going to sign up for this thing, maybe did, and is not in this thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that person may or may not have a brother that's been on our show before.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I thought there was a competition happening between some of those folks. I don't know. Maybe that was just a side bet. Maybe that the deadline slipped past and they forgot. Maybe they're in the wrong group. So sounds like what Mike is telling you is there's still time to rectify any mistakes you have made, or if you've been on a team, if you got saddled with that poor Denver squad and you realize that's not for me, I want more up tempo, I want sunshine. Gus Malzahn says the future is here in Orlando. The future may be with the Suns UCF team. So look us up. Are we still on charge on, charge off? By the way, I feel like we just dovetailed into something else. I don't even know.
I guess it's a typo, or maybe he made a mistake when he signed up himself, or maybe he has a sister that we don't know about. I see Tracy Trelko on the list. I don't see Trace Trelko. I'm thinking that's a mistake.
Can't confirm. I don't. Maybe it's a real name situation. I don't know. Who knows? But happy to have him on the team. Happy to have everybody on the Sons of UCF squad. It's a lot of pressure now, Mike. So I went out the other day and I was like, let me get a couple miles in. I'm just kind of move around a little bit. Sore week. Did a heavy leg day the day before, so I got a couple miles in around the block. Just kind of loosen up a little bit. Decent time. I wasn't really booking it, just trying to get loose. And I thought to myself, man, and I saw your post where you're all over Twitter every time you run like a block. You're posting out there with with your times, and I'm like, this got competitive in a hurry. I told my wife, we can't embarrass ourselves here. We actually have to put some numbers up.
I'm in it to win it now. Definitely among this group, I'm here to defend the hat, and I'm sure somebody on here can beat me. I've never been a great runner, especially distance-wise. I was never able to run a mile in under 8 minutes up until these last few weeks when I started running for this thing. I'm under 8 now, so I'm looking to improve, and we got another month to get better. But I'm sure there's somebody on this list that runs a 5K in their sleep and is just gonna destroy my time. So I'll be happy to send that person a hat. But it's good for everybody, man. It's good for us. It's good for UCF making some money. And if you're participating in this thing, train for a month or two and get in some good shape. You can get in better shape than what you're at now. Just get better at everything. So I think it's great.
The only way to end this segment is on Mike's life advice. Just get better at everything. Nothing's better than a Suns UCF interview. This week it's Brendon Hayes. It's up next. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
The Suns have a new interview. Listen up.
All right, last week, if you were with us, we talked to a guy who wore number 6 and did pretty well on the offensive side, and that was Marlon Williams. Well, tonight we have another guy who also wore number 6, but this time on the defensive side of the ball, and he also did pretty well for himself. Spent 5 years in the UCF program, graduated in 2019, and that was a big part of those 2017, 2018, 2019 teams that did so well. And happy to have Brendon Hayes join us on the show this evening. First off, Brendon, thanks for taking some time to join us on the show.
I was about to say, that's no problem. It's a pleasure to be here with you guys.
Well, we appreciate that, and let's start at the very beginning. One of the things that we always like to learn about is how you end up at UCF. Obviously, you're a New Orleans kid, so let's start at the beginning. How did you get recruited by UCF? Who contacted you? What were they kind of telling you, and how familiar with you were you with UCF before you even heard from them?
I was about to say, I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't that familiar with the school when I first heard from them. At the time of my recruitment, Zoe Constantini was the defensive line coach here. Coach Zoe was a great coach in my opinion. I was about to say I had a great connection with him throughout the entire recruiting process, really. And it was really just him and Coach O'Leary coming to me and telling me the potential they believed I had as far as talent in playing football and playing 5 technique for them and that 4-2 that they were playing at the time that I first got there. So that was really a big factor in deciding why I ended up at UCF, as well as the fact that once I first went to UCF, I was a mechanical engineering major, and the engineering program at UCF is impeccable. If you ask me, I was about to say it was unfortunate that I wasn't able to graduate in the program, but as far as the experience and getting to learn everything, as far as programming and doing different coding with some of my classmates, it was a great experience.
Well, let's talk about that. You're a high school kid. We've heard a lot of legendary stories about Coach O'Leary. What was he like to kind of recruit you? I know he can be a pretty tough guy. He's a kind of a no-nonsense kind of guy. What was George like as a recruiter?
I honestly believe that the thing that attracted me to Coach O'Leary and made me feel like a family at UCF was just the same mindset that my family had on me. They're not going to let you be average, and they're not going to let you just not say do what you want or do what you will, but they're not going to let you do the bare minimum in life. You know what I mean? And that's the type of attitude Coach O'Leary had. If we were going to do something, he just wanted us to do it 100% and put your full heart into it, and that's what I felt like kind of made me feel at home throughout the entire recruiting process, just because I knew he wasn't going to let me be average. You know what I'm saying? And I was about to say, nobody goes, well, at least I don't go into anything just expecting to be the same as everybody else, or just another one of the, you know what I'm saying, apples of the bunch. You want to go out there and be the cream of the crop, obviously. And that's just what I thought I'd be able to do at UCF, especially with their support.
You redshirted your freshman year, 2015. Obviously, that was a horrible year for us on the field. We didn't win a game. Did you think you made a mistake when you were sitting there watching that season?
Definitely not. I was about to say, it happened for a reason. I was about to say, just like you said, it was a horrible year. I don't think it was a mistake that I didn't actually play. I think it was more of a learning experience and a learning curve for me. I was about to say, being on scout team that year grew me as a player a lot, especially from learning the game standpoint, I'd say, just because I knew a lot about the game, but I didn't know as much as I thought I knew coming from high school. You know what I mean? You study film in high school, and it's the same plays, it's the same schemes, but you find different ways that you can beat them once you see them a certain amount of times. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's what I gained in that redshirt season, 2015.
You can see the talent was there. It was just a young team, I guess, that year, and then things snowball out of control after a point.
Correct. I was about to say it was a lot of things that I feel like had an effect on that season, but I was about to say nothing that couldn't be. You know what I'm saying? There was nothing that could be done to stop the bleeding once it started. Like the cut started leaking, there was just nothing that could be done.
So when Frost comes in with his whole new coaching staff, how are you feeling about this? Obviously, you were recruited by O'Leary's staff. Now you got new guys coming in. What was the big differences when the coaches switched?
I mean, it was a complete 180 in terms of football for me. The learning curve was different. I had to add a lot of mass to even fit into Coach Scott's scheme. And I was about to say, which was a big adjustment for me, because I went from I was 262 at the end of 2016, and in the beginning of 2017, I was 300 pounds fully. You know what I mean? So it's obviously a very different scheme, and you basically got to commit to it and commit your body to it as well as your mind and heart. I mean, otherwise, it's just you know what I'm saying? Nobody's going to be able to make that big of a weight jump and still be adequate enough to play or be a factor, you know what I'm saying, in terms of moving and making a difference on the field. And I feel like those were pretty much the biggest changes. Was also how the team was ran, but how football was played was also a big change. And I was about to say, I feel like you can see it in just if you cut on the first couple clips. I mean, I still remember some hits that like Dimitri Brim put on some of those guys, and it's just like things that we weren't able to do just slightly a year before. You know what I mean? So it definitely changed the way we played the game.
Well, you had a big play early on in that season. Let's take us back to 2016. We're playing at East Carolina. We're up 30-21. ECU has the ball in their own end zone, and they drop back and they try to throw some sort of screen pass, Brendon. But you had different ideas. What do you remember about that play? Take us back to that moment in time, and obviously your first college touchdown.
Yeah, I was about to say. Honestly, I remember it like it was yesterday. I honestly, I don't want to say I read the play, but you can feel certain things when you practice them and also recognize and feel what the offense is trying to do, especially when you're backed up against your own end zone. You're either going to run straight down the middle or try to give some type of screen play or something designed dump off to just get you a certain amount of yards to just get away from your end zone, obviously. And I kind of felt that pressure in their territory. As soon as I got off the ball, I kind of remember the play. The offensive lineman kind of whiffed on me like he tried to if at me as if he wanted to hit me, and then went as if he was going to go straight to go block for the screen. As soon as I kind of felt that and I saw the arm go back to the quarterback, I immediately put my hands up and just try to get as close to the ball as I can to actually catch it and grip it. As soon as I secured the catch, it was just, I was, not even, I don't think, 10 to 12 yards away from the end zone. So it wasn't too hard of a play to make. It was just, I just happened to make it.
Did you think about breaking into a dance of some sort, maybe some sort of celebration, knowing that D linemen don't always get in the end zone?
I thought about it, but then I'm like, you know what, let me relax. Because just because at that point in time I was still young, you know what I mean? I think I still was, I had a little bit of post-traumatic stress disorder from how O'Leary coached me. I wasn't really too big on just going out there and be willing to take yourself out the game just because you want to celebrate. Because that's what it was, O'Leary. If you just celebrate you know what I'm saying? Like, he would let us show excitement, but in terms of putting us in potential to get a 15-yard penalty, yeah, it wasn't going to happen for me. I wasn't going to let it. All right.
Well, that 16 season wraps up, and you know, look, for a lot of fans, that was a really good learning year. I think we saw the growth of the team. You saw a young Mackenzie Milton come in and take over. You saw the offense sort of take shape, and you know, it was kind of up and down at times. But the end of that season, Brendon, ends at the Cure Bowl, which is one of the most head scratching losses UCF had in that time frame. Just didn't look like maybe you guys weren't prepared that day. It just wasn't the team we were used to seeing. How much did that 2016 Cure Bowl kind of stick with you and your teammates going into that offseason?
I think that put a lot. I think that kind of like fueled the fire for the Peach Bowl. Just trying to go out and say 1-0 every week. I think that would kind of fuel the fire because I feel like that loss to Central Arkansas just was embarrassing and kind of put a bad taste in our mouth for the rest of the time. I know some of those guys would be there because, I mean, obviously it was somebody's last game, you know what I'm saying, that day, and we weren't just going to take it lightly. I was about to say every game is an opportunity to show what you're made of, and I feel like we didn't do that. We didn't hit on in any phases of the ball that game. I just remember one of the plays I remember specifically that kind of like let me know that we weren't prepared was like, I think this was like some time in like the third or fourth quarter maybe. And we had like a full slide protection to the right, I believe. And like for some reason, like Kinsey went away from the full slide. You know what I mean? Like the offensive line slid to the right, I believe, and then the left side defensive end had a clean shot straight to Kinsey, and Kinsey was running towards the left, like towards the defensive end. Once I saw that play, it kind of like solidified it for me that we weren't ready to play, and that honestly we just weren't gonna beat those guys that day. I mean, anything that we would do was just getting counteracted. There were miscues, obviously on both sides of the ball. It was a tough game for us, and I feel like that just kind of set the tone because we remember how embarrassed we were after losing a bowl game, which you would say is in our hometown, so it feels like it would be a home game. It just didn't sit right with us, and I feel like that's kind of what helped us take off that 2017 season.
You said you felt like you guys weren't maybe prepared. Was there something different leading up to that game? Were you guys practicing differently? Was there anything that kind of changed your routine?
And that's the thing. I remember Cure Bowl practices and everything. I feel like we were confident in ourselves. I don't want to say that we didn't take our preparation seriously, but once it came time for game time, it just honestly didn't look like we, it just didn't show. You know what I mean? And it's like that sometimes. I mean, I don't think I have any one thing to attest to it, but the fact that it just didn't happen, honestly.
You got to go against Mackenzie Milton in practice every day that year. Obviously, he showed flashes of some greatness in 2016, but also had a lot of struggles, and that Cure Bowl was probably his biggest struggle. Did you have any clue he was capable of doing what he did coming back the next year in 2017?
Honestly, I want to say that I feel like when 2016, a lot of the team was buying into Mackenzie, and I was already a believer in Mackenzie. I feel like just being around him off the field, I was about to kind of put into perspective of the vision he had and what he was looking to do. He just had to actually find a rhythm and find a system that was gonna, how can I say it, just find a system to where he would just know all the cues, and then eventually you saw how he just got on top of it that off season after he took that Central Arkansas loss, and it's just like a lot of the throws he made in 2017, you look and just be like, I wouldn't have seen that, or I mean, you'd be like, how's he able to do this, that, and the third? It was like he showed glimpses of it, and in practice, I was about to say one of the hardest players to ever. You know what I'm saying? Him and AK, two of the hardest players to ever go against or play defense against that I've faced at least. And it's just, I think it's honestly a testament to all his hard work. I mean, I remember being in quarterback meetings in camp, and he'd be walking out. I mean, I think one time I forgot something. I remember. I think he was walking out like 8:30, 9 o'clock, and we had got released an hour earlier that day, so we would have got released at 6. You know what I'm saying? Instead of the regular 7:30 time. And it's just like he put those extra hours in, and it showed on a tremendous level, on a tremendous scale.
The 2017 obviously turned out to be a special season. When in that season did you guys realize, hey, we got something special going on here? Was it early on, or when did you feel it?
I think I felt it in camp. Like we said it all camp. I remember that. That's one thing I do remember. All camp, we were saying how special the season was going to be, and you could feel something different in the room every time we had a team meeting or we would talk about it. But I think we didn't really understand until we were actually in it. You know what I mean? You don't understand until you're actually winning that often, and you just, I don't want to say like doing away with the competition, but you just every time you step on the field. Like, not every program has that. You know what I'm saying? There's miscues, there's miscommunication, there's just things that happen. People fall to injury. It happens it's part of the game. And that's just not what we're being faced with. Everything was just going in our favor, which doesn't happen. But, I mean, with the way the team worked in the offseason, we knew it was attainable. You know what I mean? We knew we had the ability to be a top 10 football team that year.
Talk about the other guys on the defensive line that year. We had Pittman, we had Tony Garrard, we had you, we had Tristan, Joey Connors. How underrated was that whole group?
That's the thing. All of the names that you just said in that group, Savon Lowry, like all the names you just said in that group, AJ Wooten, Ajanai Wooten, like all those people they were the D-line. You know, and Coach Duval used to always say, every time we go in the weight room, like when we lifting heavy, it's going to start and end with y'all. It's going to start and end with y'all. And I feel like every game, not to say that every game we totally dominated, but every game you could definitely see the D-line was a factor at some point in the game to alter the outcome. And I was about to say, as far as being underrated, I feel like every guy on the D-line was underrated because they might not have been putting up the big sack numbers just because of the scheme we were in, but most of the time the runs were plugged. And if they did break, I was about to say it's simply something that we were out-schemed because of the scheme we were in. You know what I mean? It wasn't like anything like, oh, we're just missing tackles or this is happening. It was actually, I feel like we were just being put at disadvantages just because we had less linemen. And it looks bad when it's 3 against 5, but when you do the math, it doesn't add up. You're just like, it's 3 against 5. Oh, the offense should win every time. You know what I mean? That's not what was happening. When you put Jemias Pittman at a 0, you put Tristan and Tourney on the outside, it just wasn't happening. You put Savon on the outside, it just wasn't happening. You put Joey in the middle, it wasn't happening. You know what I mean? Those guys are dominating on the position there. They're dominating snap after snap. Like, I watched the Peach Bowl game, and I still think about the fumble that AJ had because that's just something that I feel like he was working for the entire time he was there since I had met him. You know what I mean? Just that one play just to call somebody to fumble in the Peach Bowl. And, I mean, look, if you watch the play, he did everything that we practiced. You know what I'm saying? He struck, got off the block, disengaged, tried to wrap up and make a play, and knocked the ball out. It was just perfect examples of the things we were working so hard at every day. And, like, to see it to start paying off, especially for my group and the guys that I was with during that time, it was just a special moment, something I'll never forget. You
guys dominated Auburn on the line that day. Was there any motivation? SEC team, these guys are bigger than you. People putting you down before the game. How much did that motivate you going into that game?
I was about to say, I feel like that motivated us along with the fact that everybody wanted us to lose, because at that point, I mean, it was an undefeated season that season. So it was more of the fact of playing inside the parameters of which we knew we could play, as well as we didn't care who was going to line up against us. We would always say, because Duval would be like, if I grab this football out of the locker room and just go roll it in the parking lot, everybody on the team should go line up and be willing to play right now on concrete or anywhere else I line the ball up. And that's just how I feel like all those guys approached it that year. Like everybody no one was scared to play it down. No one was scared to make a play. No one was scared to have to be the guy for a coach to say, you're going to have to make this play for us. Everybody wanted to be the person to make the play. And I think that's what made the team special. You know what I mean? Especially being led by guys like Shaquem Griffin on defense. Is just Mike Hughes. It was just, you know what I mean? It was just guys wanting to be the guy, and it was everyone. It wasn't just one name I could just call out and say, oh, he wanted to be the guy. He was the guy. Like everybody wanted to be the guy, and everybody was working to be the guy. You see what I'm saying? So it was just a special thing to be a part of. Nothing I've ever seen before or been a part of since at all.
Well, then for you, unfortunately, for the third time in 4 years, yeah, you have to get used to a whole new coaching staff. So Frost and that staff leave after the Peach Bowl, and Josh Heupel and his staff come in, including new D coordinator at that time, Randy Shannon, who obviously had a legendary name. He spent some time with Miami, spent some time at Florida. He's a veteran coach. What were your first impressions when you saw Randy Shannon walk in the room in 2018 and you heard he was going to be your new defensive coordinator?
I think at the time that he first came in, it was pure excitement, and it was pure excitement. Not that I was getting another chance to be a 4-3 DN again. It was pure excitement at the fact of how many, I want to say legendary guys, Hall of Famers he's been around and coached, but how much football he's seen and been around, he'll be able to tell you something by seeing it once. You know what I mean? And it's just like, he's an expert at the game. It's just simply is what I don't know any other way to put it. He'll tell you on film when you're wrong, and he wouldn't even cut the film on yet. Like he'd be able to see it before the play even starts. And it's just, it was a special experience being able to be coached by somebody like that. Just because we hadn't always had that coaching. And I was about to say 2015, you would be able to see it just by the record. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, if things are happening on a consistent basis, you don't keep trying to compound mistakes. You try to correct the mistakes. I think those are the things that we kind of got with that staff that we never had before as far as being able to diagnose things. I mean, obviously, you watch the film, cut it back on, and be able to tell you after the fact, but he could do it in the time while it's going on. You know what I'm saying? That's something that we didn't have prior. And that's something I had never experienced as being a player. Like, I would try to understand why I wouldn't hit certain angles or why I couldn't get around to make certain plays, and he'd tell me why. Because you're out of position, because you're thinking that they're doing this when you know they're going to do this. And it's just things that you would have to know and understand the game to really get a grip on, but that's just the handle he has on the game. Like, he knows. Simplest way to put it. He knows.
Well, obviously, when a staff changes over, there's a lot of changes across the board, and you mentioned this actually a couple of minutes ago in one of your answers. One of the changes I think that maybe people don't recognize is you guys spend as much time with the strength and conditioning staff as probably any other staff on the team. And obviously, you mentioned Coach
Right.
Dufall, who was the strength coach who went with Frost to Nebraska. And then Heupel comes in and he brings in sort of a whole new philosophy. Can you tell us a little bit about I guess we've all heard some stuff now that staff's changed out again. What the differences were with Coach Schmidt and his kind of strength conditioning program versus what you guys were used to with Coach Duvall? Were you guys lifting less, lifting lighter? Were there changes in that whole strength conditioning process?
It's just, I don't want to necessarily say lifting lighter. You're just not lifting as much weight for as long. So with Coach Duvall, we would do these things that would be like a hyperbolic circuit, basically, which is shocks your nervous system with all the exercises you do and how heavy the weight is. It wears you out in a matter of I feel like what's the fastest time you probably get done it? I think I'm trying to remember exactly the parameters. I think it would be 8 minutes a station or something like that. But you would have, I think, 4 main stations and auxiliary workouts on the side of each one. And by the time you were finished, like, you were worn, like, you were done. And it's just like, you feel like all your muscles were blown up. You know what I mean? You feel like everything was just, like, your whole body was just swollen. You just need to go sit in the ice tub after. With Coach Schmidt, it wasn't like that. So we did have maintenance days with Duval, but I feel like we had more of a, not, I don't want to say like a lax lift, but we didn't lift just to strictly gain and put on mass, which we were. Like, we did have a lot of players gain mass with Coach Schmidt's program. It just wasn't as much as it was with Duval's, which they were training and strengthening and conditioning for 2 different schemes. You got to understand that. Coach Duval was trying to blow us up, being as big as we could be and still being agile, fast, and explosive. You see what I'm saying? With Coach Schmidt, it was just more about being fast and explosive right now, if you can understand that concept. So, like, with Duval, it was more of a mass building, getting weight on him and making sure he's right to play the position. With Coach Schmidt, it's more of just making sure he's able to sustain, maintain, and play the position at the same time. I don't know if that answers the question. I try my best.
No, that's yeah, it's helpful. Obviously, we've read recently about some of the changes, so it's helpful to kind of get from your perspective as a player. How tough adjustment is that? Like, one day you're lifting heavy because the coach says so, and the next day you guys are doing something different. Was that kind of hard to adjust to? Did you guys have a hard time sort of getting used to the new regimen?
Right. I was about to say, from a personal experience, it wasn't hard for me just because I'd been through it already, but I could tell it was definitely an adjustment for some of the other guys that had just been with Frost the whole time, and as soon as we left, they're just like, wow. You know what I'm saying? They were where I was mentally in the 2015 going into 2016 with Coach Frost. And it's a hard buy-in, you know what I mean? Once you've been training and ingrained that this is going to work, and you've seen it work before and you've experienced it and been a part of it, it's hard to kind of give you a full buy-in to something that's totally different that you haven't seen any results for. And I think that's what was kind of hard for some of my teammates to get around to. As far as me with it, I actually understood, and Coach Duval, I actually had a conversation with Coach Duval before we knew at this point that a new staff would be hired. And he actually had information and knew Coach Smith prior to him getting the job. So when he explained to us, he explained that it wasn't going to be the same type of workouts. We wouldn't be going through the circuits and everything like that. So I was already prepared. They didn't have that background information. So it's still the full buy-in again of not seeing any, you know what I'm saying? Going into something totally blind, trying to give your full 100% effort and heart into it is just, you know what I'm saying? It's a hard buy-in, especially after you beat an Auburn team off of doing what you know and trained to do already for 2 years.
Talking about the buying into the weight program, what about buying into Heupel himself? He comes over and he's got a lot to prove to you guys. We come back and have another undefeated regular season. How far into that season did it take for you guys to say, okay, we can ride with this guy too?
How far into the season?
Or was it right away, right when he came into the door? What was it like?
I was about to say, I feel like it was more of an adjustment just because of how, I don't think I really have to explain. 25 wins straight, it's kind of hard to have just a buy-in after you win 25 straight. And we're just going to wipe everything that you just knew just to try to see if we can get those same 25 wins. You know, same 13-win season or whatever the case may be. It's just a very hard thing to do for any coach, I was about to say. And that buy-in did come, but it came later on, and it came from within. I was about to say I feel like there was nothing that he could necessarily say or do to make everybody buy in. That's just as simple as that. I feel like it was pretty much the players that controlled it and actually had the same belief. And I think Sean Burgess is probably one of the people I hear right now telling me. I remember we were in the locker room after Tulsa game, and he was just like, "Bro, we have the same people," and he was not lying. In terms of winning a championship, we did have the same people on the line, which we did lose some major ones that were with us when we won that Peach Bowl. But simple and plain, to us, the people that had been there for that long to know, we felt like it was the same team. You know what I mean? So it was kind of like we expected to still be contenders. We expected to still have the same impact we had when Frost left, regardless of, you know what I'm saying, who was coach, because we believed in each other. We believed in ourselves at that point. It was just like we wouldn't sell ourselves short or tell each other we couldn't accomplish any goal just because we've seen what we just did. And we didn't even tell each other we could do that. We were just trying to win every game, any game we could. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I feel like it was just more a player-led bought in than just buying into what head coach is saying, which, I mean, it did come from him starting it. However, without the team leaders and the Unity Council actually trying to get some buy-in and backing, I don't think anything would have ever happened as far as, like, having winning out for the regular season or even being contenders in the conference.
One of the biggest games of that season, the game day game, Saturday night, the bright lights against Cincinnati. And I think you could have been named MVP of that game. You were on fire that night. What do you remember about that game and that whole day?
I remember a couple of things. I remember a disappointment in me. I remember I missed a couple of tackles. I don't know why that was the first thing that came in my head, but that's the first thing I remember. I missed a couple of tackles that game. I left some money out there. The second thing I remember is D-line played a hell of a game that game. I remember Tito had a couple of good rushes. Caused me to get a fumble recovery off of one of those nice rushes he had. I just remember hitting on all cylinders that game. I remember the offense was doing good. I mean, obviously Cincinnati's defense were making plays, but they just weren't enough to deal with the tenacity we were playing with at the time. Like, I feel like even going into 2018 season after the Peach Bowl, we still had the momentum from 2018 season. Like, it wasn't, even with the staff being lost and everything like that, I feel like we were still eager. Like I said, we still believed in ourselves to the point where, like, we didn't care who we were playing against, and it didn't matter. Like, we were going to play whoever stepped in front of us.
Well, that season ends. Obviously, you guys go to the Fiesta Bowl and come up 8 points short against LSU. And what was a good game? You guys, obviously still had some opportunities to win and didn't turn our way that day. But it'd been a long time, like you mentioned, Brendon, since you had experienced a loss, all the way back to that Cure Bowl in 2016. Take us in the locker room afterwards. What were the emotions like for you and your teammates after 2 long, grueling years, everything you'd been through, coaching changes, people doubting you, not getting the playoffs, McKenzie's injury at that point? What was the locker room like after that LSU Fiesta Bowl game?
I remember the locker room for me. I remember looking around and I saw a multitude of things. And I was about to say, I don't know why I feel like I can still see all these things now that I'm talking about them. I feel like it's still seeing as if it was going on right now. But it's like there was, cheers from obviously the seniors because it's their last game. That was the last chance to showcase whatever they were going to showcase for themselves or put out there for themselves. I remember the seniors, but I also remember one of the seniors at the time, KG, he was just adamant that nobody needed to be shedding tears because of the things that we had already accomplished. You know what I mean? And how far we had come. And he also, like, in the tone he was talking, you could tell that he still had belief in the future of the program. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like that's really what, made it feel like it wasn't necessarily. When I say it wasn't over, quote unquote, it's never really over. But when I say, as far as having momentum and being a winning team, being a top contender, still being able to say, this is a top 10 football team, they still left that locker room feeling that way. You know what I mean? And regardless of the scoreboard, you can say what you want about LSU. A year removed from that game, they won the national championship. You know what I mean? And I was about to say, you could say whatever about the players that did or didn't play. One of those guys just got on a Super Bowl contending team. You know what I'm saying? Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I was about to say another one was up for rookie of the. You know what I'm saying? There were guys on the LSU football team.
Yeah.
You know, I'm talking about NFL guys. So I mean, in terms of hanging our hats, I feel like we didn't have a reason to. Like, it's personally, I feel like we didn't have a reason to. Other than us losing the game, I feel like we had no reason to, because we still competed and played at a high level. From what I saw, you know what I'm saying? Any miscues or anything that happened on the field, what it was, with personal penalties, late game fouls, whatever the case may be, it was just, you know what I'm saying, part of the game. At that point, you just got to deal with it. But in terms of actually enjoying it and how I felt after, I think I was just more eager to go into, you know what I'm saying, the next step of life for me, which was my senior football season.
Well, yeah, you mentioned that. So 2019 rolls around, and Father Time is undefeated, Brendon. And you turn around, and now you got guys like Randy Charlton and Stefan Zayas and Tremont Morris-Brash and Anthony Montalvo, just to name a few, who are standing around you. And you're the old veteran, right? You're the old head now. As kind of that veteran role, what did you want to like sort of teach and sort of impart on those young guys? And how much did you enjoy kind of taking the leadership role in that 2019 season?
I mean, I fully enjoyed it. I was about to say, I'm still cool and close with a lot of those guys. I mean, people I'll know and remember for the rest of my life, I'll never forget them. It was a different experience, though, seeing me being under, you know what I'm saying, like you said, guys like Pitt, Tourney, Joey, Savon, AJ, and then now I get to the point where I'm at it. It's almost like, who are these people, and like, why, you know what I mean? It's just like to a point to where it's the same mission with a different group of guys. And it's just like, this group of guys is still as special as the last group of guys, just because we're collected as a unit now. You know what I mean? And for me, really what I wanted to get out of the D-line is just for us to go out there and not have any regrets when we had came out the football field. Because I remember a lot of the times that I used to have games, some of us would be like, I wish I would have did this different, or this needed to happen for me to make that play, and it didn't happen. You know what I mean? I think that's what my mindset is wrapped around, and getting those guys to understand the importance of how hard we trained to get to where we were in the past, because they obviously already knew the history of UCF, because it's history now. Like, when I say history, I mean the undefeated season. I mean contending for AAC championship versus Memphis. That's what got them to the school. What's hard about leading the guys is actually getting them to understand how persistent and how not serious, because they're serious about football, but just how much effort you have to put and how much you have to be willing to sacrifice and give to the game, you know what I'm saying, in order to win. And I was about to say, that's why everybody treats every win like it's a celebration, because it should be celebrated. It's hard to win a football game. And I was about to say, I don't know how many, like, people think, oh, it's easy to win a football game. I mean, it's 50-50. One of them has to win. But you just don't understand what goes into it, as far as knowing your opponent, knowing tendencies, knowing down and distance, knowing what they like to do in certain situations, knowing how they play before the half, after the half. You know what I mean? Like, things like that is just things that, knowledge that young guys aren't going to necessarily know first coming into the scene. And that's what I try to kind of push on them and get them to understand, aside from their abilities, because those guys are all talented. All the names you just said, like Dallas Corbett, Tremont Morris-Brash, Cam Bigelow, all those guys are talented. Montalvo, all those guys are talented and have the ability. It's just getting them to understand the actual gameplay and responsibility that comes with being a part of the unit. You know what I mean? It's taking it personally. And that's what I try to just get them to do, is take everything personally.
That 2019 season started off great again. We beat Stanford at home. It looks like we're on our way now for a third great season. But then we have some tough losses, 3 tough losses, all close games: Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, and Tulsa. Any one of those hurts you more than the others, or they're kind of even?
All of them hurt. All of them hurt equally as much, and then it just all put a bad taste in my mouth. I mean, I'll say it just because of the simple fact that I don't think I'll ever be able to get over the fact that we lost those games because we should. I mean, anybody could say you shouldn't have done. You know what I'm saying? You shoulda, woulda, coulda. We shouldn't have lost those games. We shouldn't have lost those games. Like, by no means do I think they were. I mean, I took my hat to them. We were beat, but I just feel like there was more that could have been done on all three phases of the ball in all three of those games to win them.
Yeah, I still have a hard time.
Especially the Tulsa game, I was about to say, especially the Tulsa game. I mean, that was just inexcusable. You know what I mean? To get embarrassed like that, I mean, there's no excuse for it at all. So.
Yeah, we could have put those guys away a few times. The Pittsburgh game we had in our pocket a few times. We were up by 10, and then blew it. Yeah. Those are all tough.
Exactly.
But you personally put up another good season, very good season. You led the team in sacks that year. You couldn't play in the bowl game. How disappointed were you not to be able to finish off that season?
I'm going to just be honest about it. I kind of knew my time was slipping away with it. I'm going to just be honest about the whole situation. Not many people know this or knew this. So this would be the first time a lot of people are hearing it. I was misdiagnosed in like April of spring 2019 before the season happened. And so once I was misdiagnosed, I basically went on with a season-ending injury, which was supposed to end my senior season. Like, I wasn't supposed to play it down. I had torn two tendons in my rotator cuff. And at the time, we diagnosed as a shoulder strain in April. It bothered me all the way until camp. I got a MRI and then realized how serious the injury was. And I just had to make a decision from that point on whether I was going to play or not. I chose to make the selfish decision and play, which, I mean, I'll still make the decision again because I love those guys and love the, you know what I'm saying, the season I had for my last season. It was just that I knew I wasn't going to be able to, I might not be able to play in that bowl game. Just seeing as though at the time I chose to play, it was already torn for 4 months. Knowing I was going to go another 4 months, it was going to be 8 months. And once I got surgery, it was kind of, you know what I'm saying, hard in terms of shaking back recovery and rehab to get it back on track. So I kind of already had it in my mind at the beginning of the season. I just was trying to get through every game I could with what I was work with what I had at that point. You know what I mean? I say selfish decision because I wanted to play, but it was selfless in the same because I just wanted to be with my brothers, and I feel like it would just be disservice and dishonor for me to have worked all those, the 4 years I did work, you know what I'm saying, just to let my last season go just because of injury. I just couldn't do it. It wasn't in me. So, yeah, selfish.
Well, obviously, this offseason for UCF football has been quite interesting. Kind of out of nowhere, we lose Danny White, and then a week later, Josh Heupel leaves, and then Gus Malzahn is introduced as the new UCF head coach and brings a completely new staff with him as well. From afar, obviously, I know you still have some friends in the program. What was your take on Coach Heupel leaving? Were you surprised, and what do you think about Coach Gus Malzahn now as the new head man for the Knights?
I was surprised at the leave. I mean, I wasn't really surprised at the leave because that's just, I mean, I don't want to say that too. I don't want to say that everybody uses UCF as a stepping stone, but that's kind of starting to be the trend of like what people see UCF as from a, outside looking in perspective. And just talking to the guys that I'm still cool and close with, I was about to say it would seem that they have total buy-in. You know what I'm saying? That they're eager to see, just like I was after that 2018 winning the Peach Bowl. They're eager to play the game. You know what I'm saying? Still, just as much, just because they believe they can win without them. And it's just like that's how you should approach the game, and that's just how you should feel about it. So I was about to say, in terms of being surprised he left, I wasn't surprised he left. I was more surprised at the replacement. And I was about to say, with that, I know Coach Malzahn did bring a lot of good specialist coaches in. So I'm just really excited to see what these guys have planned for this year.
How about you? Where are you at with football these days? Are you still looking to play? Are you looking to get into coaching? What's your relationship with football like right now?
I was about to say, me and football have taken a distant break. I was about to say, I haven't been around or done any real football things since that surgery in December of 19. So I was about to say, I am looking to coach eventually. I was about to say, I don't know when the opportunity will come, but just working right now. Salesman at Enterprise is trying to get into real estate at this moment. But whatever opportunities present itself, I'd definitely be willing to take it.
Are you going to be able to get back down to Orlando for maybe a couple of games if fans are allowed in the stadium next year?
Yeah, I'm still out here. I'm in Winter Park right now, so I'll definitely be out there for at least one of them, at least on the sideline for one of them.
Well, look, we appreciate your time and all your insight, but we end every interview around here with some fun questions. So we kind of rapid fire, random questions. Could be sports, music, movies, stuff about your teammates, all kinds of fun questions. So here's my first one for you. If you had to pick one of your former teammates that you would not want to arm wrestle, who would you pick? Who's the one guy you would not want to arm wrestle?
Oh my God. You know how many of them it is, though? Like, I just thought of so many different people when you said that. It's crazy that you asked me that. Like, gosh, bro.
Well, let me ask you this then. Hold on.
Okay, I'm about to just hit you with the top three right now.
Okay, give me a power ranking.
The top three right now, I'm not wrestling Jemias Pittman. I'm not arm wrestling Pat Jasinski, and I'm not going to arm wrestle Titus Davis. Those are just the three off the top of my head that I thought of. Well, those three, I've seen them do dangerous things in the weight room. Yeah, I'm not messing with it.
If there was a tournament, all the guys coming back and a tournament style on arm wrestling, who do you think would be crowned the champion when it's all said and done?
I'm not gonna lie. I just seen a clip of Titus listing the other day. I think it's probably be him. I'd say.
All right, you look like a guy who enjoys a nice steak. How do you like your steaks cooked, and what are your sides?
Damn, y'all gonna judge me for this. I like it medium well. My favorite sides? You gotta get some steamed broccoli on the side. I was about to say, if you don't have the steamed broccoli, you need the loaded baked potato. And if you don't have either one of those, I don't know what you're doing eating steak. I mean, you just fill it up. You know what I mean? So, yeah, those two right there.
All right, what's one song that you secretly like that you're embarrassed to tell people that you actually like?
Bro, this is crazy. You're going to make me go on my catalog right now. What's the song that I always... Bro, there's a couple of them, to be real. I'm just not going to out myself like that, so I'm just going to put one out there. Give me a second. Why can't I think? Oh, man. Where is she at? Camila Cabello.
Okay.
She put out a song not too long ago, Never Be the Same.
Okay.
Bro, ever since it dropped, I will bump that song. Like, I don't know what it is about the tone, or I just don't know, bro. I just love that. Like, she has it. You know what I mean? Like, she on that track, she got it. For real. I love that song.
It's good. That's a good answer. Yeah, that's a really good answer.
All right, what show are you binge watching, or have you binge watched now? Like during the pandemic, when you're bored, what's your go-to show now?
I was about to say, this was early pandemic. I haven't really been watching too much TV and Netflix. I was about to say, I feel like everybody kind of binge watched All American when it came out. That's probably the only one I can think of off the top of my head that I watched front to back, like when it first dropped. Other than that, I'm trying to think of a series. I was about to say, other than that, I can't think of anything else but Shameless right now, and I don't even know why, because I didn't finish Shameless, so I don't know why but it'll probably be one of those two. It'll either be Shameless or probably All American.
All right, you're another food question for you. You're a Louisiana kid. Louisiana known for a lot of really good cuisine. I've never been to Louisiana. I've never been to New Orleans. So if I was going there and I could only eat one thing, if I had just one food I could get, I mean, you got gumbo, you got jambalaya, you got beignets, you got king cake, you got crayfish. If I could only have one food if I was going there, what's the one food you tell me I'd have to have before I leave?
But that's the thing. If you never been, you can't just go one time and only have one thing, because there's so much to take in. You know what I mean? From a personal experience, though, I'm a po' boy guy. I love po' boys. I'm gonna tell you, go to Park View Bakery and Tavern in the 6th Ward and go get you a po' boy. That's what I would tell you. Surf and turf, steak and shrimp is gonna bust every time. It's gonna bust every time. That's the one I tell you to get. Now, I was about to say, if you're looking for dessert, you gotta bust a beignet. You know what I mean? Just because you ain't never had it before, you need to try that. That's something you need to experience. It might change your life. You might need to get after it. You know, for real, it might change your life. You might need to get after that.
I might book some travel right now.
All right, what's the worst chore to do around the house? Is it washing dishes, doing laundry? What's the thing you hate doing the most?
Bro, folding the clothes. It's not even doing the laundry or the dishes. It's just folding them after. Like, why is there so many, and why do I have to fold every single one of them? That's the only thing. That's really, like, I'm saying this as I look at the pile of clothes on my couch right now. Like, why do I have to fold you? Like, bro.
That only gets worse. I don't know if you have any kids, but I have 2 kids. The laundry never ends. There's 4 people in my house. So you're only doing laundry for one.
See, I have no kids, and I'm looking at the laundry like, why? So I can only imagine if I had them, how much more clothes it would be, and it's giving me anxiety thinking about it. You know what I mean? So it's just like, look.
Now, your clothes are pretty big, too. You probably can't even fit that many of your shirts in the dryer at once. You probably only got to fold like 3 at a time. I don't know what you're complaining about.
Man, look, man. It's a hard life. It's a hard life.
All right, well, we'll get you out here on my new favorite question. I've asked this of everybody that we've had on this last couple of weeks, from Greg to Marlon to Jacob to Trey to Chris DeLoach. What is your favorite Heupelism? We all got used to some of the Heupelisms he threw out: go 1-0, play snap to whistle, all 3 phases of the game. You know, somebody was always multiple, always want to be +1 on the scoreboard. Did you have a favorite Heupelism? One of his traditional sayings?
Bro, I had none. Like, I don't even remember. I mean, I remember the 1-0. I remember he used to say a lot of things. I'm trying to remember something that would be like, oh, yep, I could kind of side with that. I could, you know what I mean? I'm trying to think. I can't even think. Like, the only thing that's in my head right now is attack ball. I don't know why, because that's the only way he used to break the huddle, and that wasn't the way we used to break it. So that's the only thing I can think of that would be a Heupelism to me. You know what I mean? Because, like, before that, it was one team, one heartbeat with Coach Frost and that. And I feel like we still kind of wanted to continue that, and that's not what we continue. So it's just like, when you say a Heupelism, that's the only thing I think is attack ball, because that's the only difference in changes that we made as far as, like, what we were trying to do and exactly what changed from Scott to Coach Heupel. So yeah,
well, that's a new one. I haven't heard that one. I'll have to put that one down in my list of Heupelisms. But look, man, we appreciate you taking some time, man. You've been really generous with your time tonight, and we appreciate you taking us down memory lane a little bit and reliving your career at UCF. And again, for those people who saw you play, I don't think we'll ever forget some of your big plays and some of the big teams you were a part of. And we just appreciate all you did for Night Nation and the way you represented UCF. And hopefully, we'll have a chance to see you at some games down the road, and we'll catch up with you soon. Okay.
Oh, yeah, y'all definitely see me there. I was about to say, I appreciate you guys. All right, thank you, Adam. I appreciate it.
I'm Jeff Allen. Join me each week for unique yet common sense opinions on sports on the Jeff Allen Sports Talk Podcast. We will break down the sports world minus the hot takes with prominent guests and my stable of sports guys. It's sports conversation the way it should be. Search Jeff Allen Sports Talk wherever you get your podcasts, or go to JeffAllenSportsTalk.com.
All right, my cow of the week time, and sometimes these things happen. We can't think of anything, so we have a twist on cow of the week. So don't move. We'll get to that in just uno momento. But before we do, Mike Brendon Hayes, fantastic interview. Great to catch up with him. I thought he told some really interesting stories. He had some great insight about a couple things, kind of the Frost Heupel change. I thought his comments there were interesting. He talked a lot about strength and conditioning, which I know has been a hot topic of late. Sounds like he kind of I don't want to say confirmed, but at least shared that the lifting wasn't as heavy over the last couple of seasons under Heupel's particular program. And then we heard about his injury, and something I don't know that, like you said, we all knew about, but playing through a couple of pretty bad shoulder tears there, it sounds like. Certainly seems dreadful, but he was really passionate about doing it, man. So it was good to catch up with Brendon and hear some of his time at UCF.
We don't really know what some of these kids are going through all the time with the injuries and what they're playing through. And I think we take for granted a lot of times that they should be out there every week entertaining us when it's their bodies that they're putting on the line for us every week. And we got a little taste of it here with Brendon Hayes telling us about his injury, playing through a whole season with it. And I'm sure that happens more than we even know about. Guys are always banged up. I know it's football, but it's a brutal sport, man. And these guys put their bodies to the test every single week. And for us sitting on the couch, we see them laying on the floor injured, and it's just like, all right, get this guy off the field and let's move on to the next play a lot of times. So, but a very good player for us. And like I said, he had some very big moments, and the biggest to me was that Cincinnati game where he was just a man on fire for that College game day game, and I'll always remember him for that one.
All right, here we go. So, Cow of the Week, a lot of different options out there, Mike, but it's time to play one of our old favorite games. It's been a while since we've played this. We call this here Cow or No Cow. I'm going to give a statement or a thing, and Mike will tell us if it's cow or no cow. If you're thinking this sounds a lot like charge on, charge off, no. You are dead wrong. This is way different than that, Mike. So here we go. One of the first things that we can talk through is with Gus Malzahn has a different kind of wardrobe twist than we've seen before, Mike. So guy who wears a visor, cow or no cow?
Cow.
Oh, wow.
I've never been a visor guy. I think the only visor I've ever owned was one time I got for free at a gentleman's establishment. I don't even know how I ended up getting it. I had like a pure platinum visor for a year or two, and that's been my only visor ever. I don't get the visor. I think there was a debate on it in the dungeon earlier this week. So somebody says that it's actually cooler to wear a visor than a hat because the hat keeps the heat in. I put a couple ice cubes in my hat, and that thing feels great. You got a slow drip of cold water dripping down your head on a hot day. You still have to style your hair if you wear a visor. Like, I got a lot of hair on the top of my head. If I just wear a visor,
here we go.
I feel like I still have to put the gel in there and make it look nice for the top. I don't like visors.
This guy with all his hair. Look at that. Yeah, I feel like they were cool when we were in college. I feel like I had a couple of visors, and you put the visor on, then you styled your hair. It was kind of like the spiky, like Nick Lachey looking thing that was happening. If anyone knows who the hell Nick Lachey is, by the way. Malzahn, I don't take it that way. I take it as, just kind of his version of the hat. It does have a lot of Steve Spurrier reminiscent for me. Not a huge Spurrier fan. I'm going to say no cow under the right circumstance. But I could see how if you abuse the visor, I could see how it could be problematic.
I always hated the Gazers. I always hated Spurrier. So I always associated him with the visor, throwing the visor. I never cared for the visor. But if Malzahn's going to wear it, then I guess I got to get behind it.
Well, Malzahn's also been wearing this like Hawaiian print shirt situation. Looks like there's a Nike logo on it. Not sure if it's an official Nike polo or not. So, Mike, the Hawaiian UCF-ish flowered shirt polo concept, cow or no cow?
No cow. We have a bunch of Hawaiians on our team now. So we get we're allowed to pull that one off, I think. And they look nice. They're not over the top. They're not crazy colorful Hawaiian shirts. So I think if they're done tastefully, it works. Now, if it was all kinds of colored flowers on it, not UCF colors, then I may have a little problem with it. But if you keep it basic, then I'm fine with it.
All right, here we go. Electric scooters, Mike. There was a video of a lot of our assistant coaches driving around campus in electric scooters, Mike. So electric scooters are people who ride them. Cow or no cow?
I've done. They used to have them here on the beach.
Yeah.
And now they've gotten rid of them. I did do it once. I'll say no cow. That can be fun if to do once or twice. But to own one and to use it all the time, then maybe we're talking cow. Just I don't know. Seems lazy. You know me. I told you we talked about the fitness stuff. We're getting into the 5K. Just use your foot and push yourself like the old days.
Okay. All-Star games. Cow or no cow?
Oh, cow. I don't watch any of these All-Star games. The Pro Bowl, forget it. That's always been one of the worst. There's no tackling. There's no defense. There's no nothing. Basketball, they've never played defense in. I didn't even see the score, but I
don't know the score.
can imagine. Don't tell me.
I actually don't even know. I honestly don't know. I'll look it up.
Okay, but if I had to guess a score, I'd say it'd be 189 to like 193. Now, if you want to look it up and tell me if I'm close,
hold on.
It's something ridiculous like that.
170 to 150.
There you go. So that game is useless. Hockey, they have changed their format so many different times. I don't even know what they do for All-Star games anymore. The only one I ever watch, and I do watch it every year, is the baseball All-Star game. I always thought that one was cool. But other than that, All-Star games altogether are cow stuff.
Coming up this weekend, Mike, daylight savings time. Cow or no cow?
Cow. I mean, well, I like the way we're going now. When we have the sunlight out longer, can we just keep it like that all year? So this daylight saving is not cow, but when we flip it back later in October,
okay,
is that the cow? Which one is actually the daylight saving time? Is the other one, right?
Yeah. Greg, what? Spring forward. That's all I know. I'm not sure what's saving what here. Spring forward.
And really, maybe I have to revise this. I mean, part of me likes it the other way too. I like the sunlight in the morning.
Yeah.
Because I like to go out and get some exercise in the morning and go. Now, once we change the times on Sunday, I don't think I'm going to do any running in the morning because I got to get done by 7 so I can get the kids ready for school and all that stuff. And it still may be dark. I don't like to run in the dark. Plus, when they were younger, as babies, I loved it when it got dark early because I could put them to bed earlier. I remember there was one time, I think it was the East Carolina game, the Hale Perriman game. That was a Thursday night game. And we had just changed the times to make it dark. I had the kids in bed by 6:30 that night. And I was ready for kickoff. It was great. But now that they're a little older, I can't get away with that anymore.
All right, here we go. Green beer. St. Patrick's Day coming up, Mike. A lot of people like to dye their beer green. Green beer, cow or no cow?
Cow. I don't think I'm sure I have, but I can't remember drinking a green beer and liking it. I don't know. It's never been my thing. I like my beer the way it comes. I don't need the dye. And then, how does it look on the way out? Does it change anything?
I don't recall. I feel like you and I have been at least a Bennigan's or two in Orlando for St. Patty's Day, and they had green beer. I feel like you've had to have at least had one.
Yeah, I'm sure I have. Nothing comes to mind. Obviously, it hasn't been that memorable.
Sure.
I'm sure I have had one, but you know what happens when you drink too many beers. The next day, you're spending some time in the bathroom, and then you get some other green stuff on the way out. I don't know if I'm with that. So I could do without the green beer. I don't need it.
Good Lord. Okay.
Green is a cow color. I mean, come on.
Also fair.
That should be automatic cow.
All right. The Dallas Cowboys giving Dak Prescott a 4-year, $160 million deal, including a $126 million guaranteed, Mike, for a guy who's won one playoff game. Cow or no cow?
Did that happen today?
It did happen today. Why would I make this up, Mike? That's a true story.
Oh. You know what? Prescott is a good player. They are definitely a better team with him. Now, you want to get into the money aspect of it, and he's coming off a very tough injury. That may be a cow move. But what are their other options right now? Are they going to draft somebody? They weren't going to get anybody with what pick they have, right? What pick do they have in the draft? 10?
Yeah, not good enough to get anybody in the draft.
Yeah. And, maybe they can pull off a trade for somebody, and then you can get into Deshaun Watson sweepstakes. I don't know if that's a possibility. Whatever. I mean, I think they're a better team with him, but I'm not scared so much of Dak Prescott. So
Nor should you be.
good. I'm glad he's taking up a lot of space on your salary cap.
Of course. This is more of a family one. You can help me answer this one. This is on behalf of my daughter, whose name is Addison. And I was sharing with her recently that UCF hired a new coach, and his name was Addison. And she is vehement that Addison is a girl's name only, and then referenced her to former Cubs shortstop Addison Russell, of which case she said that Addison is indeed a girl's name, Mike. So Addison as a boy's name, cow or no cow?
No cow. Doesn't it actually translate into the meaning of it is son of Adam?
That is correct.
All right. So does she know that? Does she know that?
Well, there's a definition if you look it up that could be son or daughter of Adam, but that doesn't matter to her. She thinks it's a girl's name.
Well, she's heard it her whole life. I see where she's coming from.
Yes, she has heard it her whole life. That is correct. I can't confirm.
It's similar to Allison, which is definitely a girl's name, but I think there's been boys' names named Allison too. Nah, I guess it's one of those names that can go either way. So I say no cow, but I kind of want to be on her side. So maybe I have to switch to cow.
On the bright side, she's never going to listen to this anyway, so you could pretty much take any side you want. I'll just have to tell her what happened, and she'll have to trust me on it.
All right. So as a boy's named cow, then how's that? Is that the correct answer?
I don't. That's the beauty of cow or no cow, Mike. There are no total wrong answer. So the beauty of cow or no cow. Cow or no cow, accusing a college baseball pitcher of having a substance in his glove, only to find out that you were wrong. Cow or no cow?
That video was great. You shared it on Twitter the other day. Was it Tulane, right?
Yeah, Tulane. Yeah.
We're probably going to end up facing. And were they wrong? Because the umpire didn't really check the glove in the spot that the guy kept touching.
Yep.
So they may not have been wrong. The umpires may be cows for the way they went about it. And, I mean, how about the Tulane pitcher taunting him afterwards?
Yeah.
After kept touching the glove even more in that spot. Something was a little. I mean, the kid was moving the ball a lot. I can see where they were coming from. I mean, maybe he was just getting in their heads after a certain point. So I will say the team that challenged him is no cow because I can see where they're coming from. The umpires, I think, are the cow in this situation.
So the pitcher whose name escapes me, he had a follow-up tweet, I think maybe yesterday, that said that essentially he didn't break in his glove really well, and there's like a bubble that is on sort of the heel of his mitt there, and so that's just part of his his superstitious routine is he always kind of pushes the bubble down before the pitch.
All right, now I believe him even less. I definitely think he was doing something. And I hope Lovelady sends somebody out there to check his glove before he even throws a pitch against us when he faces us.
Oh wow,
it's
you're
kind of like
the
scene in Naked Gun when they went out to check for the guy. He was looking for a gun, but he had the sandpaper and the Vaseline and all this other stuff in his pocket.
Yeah.
I feel like that's kind of what it was. And they didn't find what was actually there, but it was there.
That's such a good movie. All right, last one. Cow or no cow? Claiming to win a hat of a race that you are running when you already own the hats and the name of the hat is your actual show. Cow or no cow?
People are going to get mad at me if I win this thing. And there was this much outrage after I won the Sons of UCF Pick'em group. But guess what? I still sent the hat to whoever finished in second place. So I'll still send the hat to the second place winner of our group. But just know that you can't run faster than me. You can't pick games better than me. Find something that you can beat me at and win the hat outright. And then you guys can call me a cow. Until then, it's a no cow.
There you go.
What do you think about that?
I have no thoughts on that matter. I mean, I think
what happens if you win? I think there's a very good chance you could beat me.
Who knows?
Send you a hat?
We'll see what. So here, if I win, I would either do one of two things. To your point, I would either I would forfeit my hat to the second place finisher, or I would claim my hat and then randomly pick somebody else in the group and send them the hat. I'm not sure which one's better, which one's more appropriate, because there are some people who are running, Mike, who maybe, to your point earlier, haven't run a race in a long time, and they want to do this and it's fun, and so they want to get out there and have a good time. But they're not runners per se. They're going to try to train, but to your point, there could be somebody in our group that's been running 5Ks like for breakfast every day for the last 10 years, right? So maybe there's somebody who, if one of us win, we kind of randomly pick somebody else in the group there, somebody who got out there and tried. Maybe even if there's somebody out there, if this is your first 5K, maybe you should get a hat for taking the plunge and making an effort and giving a good shot. So there's a lot of different avenues. So if I happen to win this race, which I'm not banking on, if I happen to win this thing, then I would happily cede my winning prize to somebody else.
All right. I think I have 2 hats left in the box up there. How about we give one to whoever wins, and then we'll give another one away at random. So 2 hats to give away for this contest.
Wow. He's not the most generous man in the world for nothing, my friends. UCF Mike, now 2 hats on the line, winning time, and an at-large bid.
That also gives some more people motivation. If you're not in the Sons of UCF group yet,
here we go again.
You can still switch over into the group, and now you have a chance at a random hat. You may not even have to beat me to get one.
Well, to be fair, it's not a random hat. It's not the UCF hat. I don't want you sending them like one of your old Yankees hats and being like, "Yeah, you wanted a hat. Here you go."
Yeah, I could always do that too. Yeah. But no, a Sons of UCF hat. You guys have all seen them. They're beautiful. There's only 2 left. May or may not have more in production, but these last 2 original hats, the 2 when I first ordered the first dozen hat, those are collector's items. There's only 2 left. 2 people from this group are going to get them.
You heard it here first, folks. More hats on the line. We've got it all here. We've got hats. We've got shows. We've got live shows. Again, if you're not following us on social media stuff, do that right now at Sons of UCF. If you've listened to this entire thing and you've enjoyed it immensely, and I don't know how you couldn't have, make sure you go back, you hit that subscribe button, you hit that rate button, the little 5-star situation. That'd be fantastic. And if you want to leave a review, we'll take that too. But we appreciate everyone for always supporting us and giving us your ears for a couple hours each week to talk UCF sports. Again, we're just getting ramped up here. We'll have basketball coverage over the weekend. Spring practice starts. We'll give you some insight there. Maybe we'll break down some stuff happening in and around the football team to the best of our ability if we're able to get any information from what may or may not be a tight ship on Gus Malzahn's watch. But don't worry about that. Just worry about staying tuned. Sons of UCF each week. We will be back next week. Until then, everybody, make sure you have a fantastic week. Go train for that race. And everybody, make sure you charge on.
Well, you said charge on for me. What am I supposed to say?
I don't know.
Go Knights?
Go Knights. There it is. We got it all figured out. Look at that.